At 65 years old, I heard my son tell his wife use my mom's card. She has $700,000 saved up. In that moment, I realized that 18 years living in their house hadn't been a home. It was a silent prison. What I did in the next 48 hours shocked the entire family and changed my life forever. But before we continue, make sure you're already subscribed to Elderly Stories and write in the comments, where are you watching this video from? We love to know how far our stories are reaching. I was peeling potatoes at the kitchen sink when I heard it. My son Mark's voice cut through the thin wall, separating the kitchen from the living room. And every word was like a sharp blade slicing the air. "Honey, you can use my mom's card. She has about $700,000 just sitting in her account." My fingers froze around the potato. The knife fell into the sink with a metallic clang that seemed to echo through the kitchen. I felt my heart pound, beating so hard I thought it would burst out of my mouth. 65 years of my life. 45 years working as a seamstress, a cleaner, a cook. Every penny of that $700,000 had a story. It held blood, sweat, sleepless nights, aching backs, swollen hands. And my son had just offered it up as if it were his. "Are you sure? Won't she get mad?" The voice of Patricia, my daughter-in-law, had that sweet, fake tone I knew so well after 18 years of living with her. "My mom won't say anything. She lives here for free, eats our food, uses our electricity, our water. It's the least she can do, help out when we need it. Besides, she's old now. Why does she need so much money saved up at her age?" Every word was a hammer blow to my chest. Old, for free, the least she can do, as if I were a dead weight, an obligation, a burden they carried out of pure kindness. I braced my trembling hands on the edge of the sink. My vision blurred, but I didn't let the tears fall. Not yet. I had cried too much in this house over the last 18 years. Ever since Mark convinced me to sell my 2-bedroom apartment to help him with the down payment on the house, where they now treated me like a stranger. Wow, $700,000. That's enough to remodel the whole kitchen and even replace the living room furniture. Patricia spoke with an excitement that made me sick to my stomach. "Exactly. You deserve a new kitchen, honey, and I want to replace that old couch, too. I've always wanted a real leather one." They kept talking, planning how to spend my money, laughing, dreaming of remodels and new furniture. And there I was standing in the kitchen peeling potatoes for their lunch. Invisible, insignificant, reduced to a bank account. I took a deep breath. I wiped my hands on my apron and walked slowly to the kitchen doorway. I stood there watching them both on the couch. Mark had his phone in his hand, probably researching furniture prices. Patricia was leaning against him, smiling, pointing at the screen. My son, my only son. The boy I raised alone after his father abandoned us when he was just 3 years old. The boy I worked 3 jobs for simultaneously to send him to a good school. The boy who graduated as an engineer because I sewed clothes until 4 in the morning for years to pay for his private university. Now that boy was a 40-year-old man who had just called me old and useless. I went back to the kitchen without them seeing me. I finished peeling the potatoes mechanically. I put them on to boil. I prepared the rice, the beans, the chicken, all on autopilot while my mind was boiling. 18 years living in this house, in the smallest room, the one where a twin bed and a wardrobe barely fit. 18 years cooking, cleaning, washing, ironing. 18 years handing over my entire $1, $200 pension check every month without question. Mark said it was to help with expenses, but I knew he earned good money as an engineer, and Patricia also worked at an expensive boutique. 18 years feeling like an intruder in the house I helped buy. Because yes, when I sold my apartment and gave Mark $200, $1,000, he promised it was a loan. "I'll pay you back in 2 years, Mom, when I get my promotion." That was 18 years ago. The promotion came. The money never returned. And when I dared to bring up the subject, Mark would get irritated. "Mom, you live here, don't you? That's worth more than $200,000. Stop being cheap." Cheap. Me who gave every cent I had for this son, I was cheap. Lunch was ready. I set everything on the table as I always did. Mark and Patricia came to sit down without even thanking me. It was routine. I was the invisible maid. "Mom, this meat is a little tough," Mark said, chewing with disapproval. "Sorry, son. Next time, I'll marinate it longer." Patricia rolled her eyes discreetly, but not that discreetly. I saw it. I always saw it. I ate in silence, every bite heavy in my throat. My head was working through 1,000 thoughts a second. I had to do something. I couldn't keep living like this. I couldn't let them use my money as if it were theirs. After lunch, I washed the dishes while they went back to the living room. I heard Patricia say she was going to the mall in the afternoon. My heart sped up. She was going to use my card. They were really going to do it. I locked myself in my tiny room. I sat on the edge of the bed and picked up my phone with trembling hands. I dialed the bank's number, the one I had memorized so many years ago. "National Bank. Good afternoon. This is Jennifer speaking. How can I help you?" "Good afternoon. I need to block my card immediately." My voice came out firmer than I expected. "Of course, ma'am. Can you tell me your full name and identifying information, please?" I gave her all my details. I answered the security questions, confirmed my date of birth. Every second felt like an eternity. "Understood, Mrs. Helen. Was there a problem with the card? Was it lost or stolen?" "Let's just say, someone is trying to use it without my authorization." "Perfect, I am blocking it right now. As of this moment, no transactions can be made. Would you like to request a new card?" "Yes, but don't send it to this address. I'll pick it up in person at the branch next week." "No problem. Your card was blocked at 2:17 p.m. Can I help you with anything else?" "No, thank you very much." I hung up and held the phone to my chest. My heart was still pounding, but there was something new mixed with the fear. Was it relief? Empowerment? I didn't know what to call it, but for the first time in years, I had made a decision that was mine alone. I sat there for almost an hour, just breathing, thinking, processing. I heard Patricia getting ready to leave, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor, her purse being rustled, the car keys jingling. "Bye, honey. I'm going to the mall to buy a few things." "Your mom lent me her card," she shouted cheerfully. Lent? What an interesting word to describe theft. "Great, have fun," Mark answered. The front door slammed shut. The car started. The sound faded down the street, and I just sat there on my twin bed in my tiny room waiting. It didn't take long. Less than an hour later, my cell phone started ringing. It was Mark. I didn't answer the first call. I let it ring until it went to voicemail. He called again and again and again. On the 5th call, I answered. "Mom, where are you?" His voice was agitated, nervous. "In my room, son." "Why?" "Patricia just called me from the mall. She says your card is blocked. Did you block it?" Silence. A long, heavy silence stretched between us. I could hear his breathing on the other end of the line, impatient waiting. "I blocked it." I finally replied with a calm that surprised me. "What do you mean you blocked it? Why would you do that?" "Because it's my card, Mark. My money. And I did not authorize anyone to use it." "Mom, don't start with this now." Patricia is at the register, completely embarrassed. She already picked out a bunch of stuff. The saleswoman is waiting. "Do you have any idea how ridiculous this is? I have an idea that you two tried to spend my money without asking me. That's what's ridiculous." "Stop being dramatic. It was just a few things for the house where you also live in case you forgot." I took a deep breath. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to lose my composure. "Mark, I heard you talking this morning. I heard you say I live here for free, that I'm old and don't need that much money. I heard you planning to spend $700,000 as if it were yours." Silence on the other end. A different silence. The silence of someone who's been caught red-handed. "Mom, It wasn't exactly like that." "It was exactly like that, son. Every word. And no, I am not unblocking the card. Tell Patricia to come home. The three of us need to talk." I hung up before he could answer. My hands were shaking, but a new strength was growing inside me, a strength I didn't know I still had. Half an hour later, I heard Patricia's car pull up. The door opened with so much force it hit the wall. Her heels echoed furiously on the floor. "Where is your mother?" Her voice was laced with venom. "Patricia, calm down. Let's talk about this calmly." Mark tried to soothe her. "Calm down, calm down." Your mother just caused me the biggest embarrassment of my life. There were like 20 people in the store watching the saleswoman try the card over and over. I had to leave everything there and run out. I got up from the bed. I smoothed my clothes. I took a deep breath and opened the door to my room. I walked to the living room where they both were. Patricia stared at me with eyes full of rage. Mark was sitting on the couch looking uncomfortable. "We need to talk," I said, keeping my voice calm. Talk. Patricia took a step toward me. "You humiliated me? You made me look like a fool in front of everyone." "I didn't humiliate you, Patricia. You tried to spend my money without my permission. That's called theft." "Theft, we're family. Families share. Families don't steal. Families ask. Families respect. And you didn't ask me for anything. You just took my card as if I didn't exist." "Mom, stop it," Mark chimed in. "Patricia was just going to buy some things we really need. New furniture, a kitchen remodel, things to improve the house. $700,000 on furniture and a remodel. And that seems reasonable to you, Mark? You have that money just sitting there. You're not using it for anything. We work. We pay the bills for this house. We support you. It's only fair that we use some of that money." Those words, "we support you," as if I were a burden, an obligation, a favor they were doing for me. "You support me?" My voice came out higher than I intended. "I give you my entire pension check every month, $1 and $200 that you never pay back. I cook, I clean, I wash, I iron. I do everything in this house without receiving a single cent. How is that supporting me?" "That $200 barely pays for your food," Patricia replied disdainfully. "Then let me go. Let me buy my own place and stop being a burden to you." I saw Mark and Patricia exchange a quick glance, a look I couldn't decipher at the time, but which I understood perfectly later. "Mom, nobody said you were a burden. Don't be dramatic," Mark said, but his voice had no conviction. "You said I'm old and don't need money. You said I live here for free. If that's not calling me a burden, then what is—" "Look, Helen." Patricia crossed her arms. "Let's be honest, you have nowhere to go. You don't have other children, you have no family, your friends are all in the same situation as you or worse. What are you going to do? Live alone in some sad apartment. Eat alone. Die alone." Her words were like slaps, each one calculated to hurt, to make me feel small, useless, out of options. "I'd rather be alone in peace than accompanied and miserable," I replied, and I was surprised by my own courage. "So dramatic. No one is making you miserable. We give you everything. But of course, nothing is ever enough for you," Patricia said with sarcasm. "You don't give me anything. I pay with my pension, with my work, with my dignity. And this conversation is over. I'm not changing my mind." I turned around and went back to my room. I locked the door and leaned against it, listening to the two of them continue arguing outside. Patricia blaming Mark for being weak with me, Mark trying to calm her down, both talking about me as if I were a problem to be solved. I sat on the bed and picked up my phone. There was only one person I could call right now. My friend Regina. "Helen, is everything okay? It's almost 9 o'clock at night." Regina answered, her voice worried, and then I fell apart. I told her everything from the conversation I overheard in the morning to the fight that had just happened. I cried on the phone like I hadn't cried in years. Regina let me talk, let it all out without interrupting. "Helen, listen to me carefully," she said when I finally ran out of words. "Tomorrow morning you are going to pack a bag and come to my house. You can stay here as long as you need while you look for an apartment. You cannot stay in that house anymore. It's killing your soul." "Regina, I can't impose on you like that. Your apartment is small." "I have a sofa bed in the living room that's more comfortable than being in that house where they don't value you. Tomorrow, Helen. It's not a request, it's an order." I couldn't sleep that night. I lay on the twin bed, staring at the low ceiling of my tiny room, replaying every moment that had brought me here. I remembered when I sold my apartment. A small apartment, but it was mine. 2 bedrooms, living room, kitchen, and bathroom. I had bought it with so much effort at 42. I paid installments for 15 years. Every room had been furnished little by little with sacrifice and planning. But when Mark married Patricia and said they wanted a bigger house, that they didn't have money for the down payment, I didn't think twice. I sold my apartment for $200,000 and gave it all to him. It's a loan, Mom. I'll pay you back in 2 years with interest. I promise. His eyes were shining with hope that day. 2 years turned into 5, then 10, then 15, and now 18. The loan became a favor. It became, you have a roof and food that's worth more than $200,000. As if my home, my achievement, was only worth room and board. When I moved into their house, Patricia showed me the room, the smallest one of all. It used to be a closet they had converted. It's tight, but it's just temporary, mother-in-law. Soon you'll want to have your own corner again, she had said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Temporary. 18 years of temporary. When dawn broke, I got up earlier than usual. I showered, got dressed, and started packing my bags. I didn't have many things. Simple clothes, a few pairs of shoes, old photographs, important documents. Everything fit into 2 old suitcases. I prepared breakfast as always. I left everything ready on the table, but this time I didn't stay to serve. I went back to my room and waited. I heard when Mark and Patricia woke up. I heard their footsteps around the house, their low voices talking. Neither of them knocked on my door to see how I was, as always. Mark left for work at 7:30. Patricia left at 8. When her car disappeared down the street, I grabbed my suitcases and walked out the front door. I left the house keys on the small table in the entryway. Next to them, I put a note I had written during the night. Mark, I'm leaving. I can no longer live in a house where my only value is my money. Thank you for these 18 years, but I need to get my dignity back. When I'm settled in my new place, I'll send you the address. I love you, but I need to love myself more. Mom. I called an Uber and waited on the sidewalk with my 2 suitcases. The next-door neighbor, Mr. Robert, was watering his plants and saw me. Good morning, Mrs. Helen. Are you going on a trip? Something like that, Mr. Robert. Something like that. The car arrived in 5 minutes. The driver helped me with the suitcases. As we drove away, I looked out the window at the house where I had lived for 18 years. A beautiful, large, well-kept house. But it was never my house. It was my prison. Regina was waiting for me at the building's entrance when I arrived. She hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. And in that hug, I let out all the tears I had been holding back. You're here. You're safe now, she whispered, stroking my hair. Regina's apartment was really small, living room, bedroom, kitchen, and bathroom, but it was clean, organized, and most importantly, full of peace. There was no tension in the air, no judgmental looks or cruel words waiting to hurt me. The sofa bed is all yours. It's not luxury, but it's comfortable. And this home is your home for as long as you need, Regina said as she showed me where I could put my things. We spent the morning organizing. Regina made space in her closet for my clothes. She showed me where everything was in the kitchen. She made me feel welcome in 1,000 small, significant ways. Around noon, my cell phone started ringing. It was Mark. I didn't answer. He called again and again and again. On the 10th call, he left a message. Mom, where are you? I came home for lunch and you're not here. I saw your note. Please call me. I'm worried. Worried? How interesting that he was worried now. Regina looked at me with a question in her eyes. Are you going to answer? Not yet. I need to think clearly first. I need to know what I'm going to do before I talk to him. I turned off the phone. I needed silence, peacetime to process everything and decide my next steps. In the afternoon, Regina and I sat on her small balcony with a cup of coffee. From there, you could see the city moving, life happening down below. You know what hurts the most, Regina, I said after a long silence. It's not the money they tried to spend. It's not even the disrespect. What hurts the most is realizing that I spent 18 years trying to win back my son's love, and now I see that his love was always conditional on what I could give him. Regina took my hand in hers. Wrinkled hands like mine, marked by the years, but strong and warm. Helen, you didn't spend 18 years trying to win his love. You gave 18 years of unconditional love. That's very different. The problem isn't you. The problem is that Mark and that woman didn't know how to value what they had. But I'm his mother. Mothers sacrifice for their children. Mothers love their children, yes. But children must also love their mothers. Love isn't a one-way street, Helen, and sacrifice has a limit. When the sacrifice is killing your soul, it's not love anymore. It's self-destruction. She was right, as she always was. Regina had been my friend since we worked together in a textile factory over 40 years ago. She knew me better than anyone. Now you need to think about yourself, about what Helen wants, about what Helen needs to be happy, Regina continued. I want my own apartment. I want my own place where no one makes me feel like I'm in the way. Where I can have coffee in the morning without feeling like I'm using someone else's electricity. Then that's what we're going to get. Tomorrow we start apartment hunting. That night I slept on Regina's sofa bed. It was the best night's sleep I'd had in years. There was no tension, no fear of hearing footsteps or irritated voices. There was only peace. On Saturday morning, I woke up without an alarm. It was almost 9 when I opened my eyes. The last time I slept in that late was, I couldn't even remember when. Regina was already in the kitchen making coffee. The smell brought me a sense of warmth I hadn't felt in a long time. Good morning. Hot coffee and grilled toast. Today is the day we find your new home, she said with a bright smile. We had coffee talking about everything and nothing. No pressure, no complaints. Just two old friends sharing a quiet moment. Afterward, we got ready and went out. Regina had scheduled 4 apartments for us to see that day. All within my budget. The first one was too dark, small windows that barely let in any light. The second was in a half-abandoned building that smelled like damp. The third was perfect. But it was on the 5th floor with no elevator, and my knees couldn't handle climbing all those stairs every day. But the fourth one stole my heart as soon as I walked in. It was an apartment on the 3rd floor of a well-maintained building. It had a living room with a large window that overlooked a piece of the park, a functional kitchenette, a spacious bedroom, and a clean bathroom. It wasn't large, about 650 square feet, but it was cozy, bright, and it had good energy. How much are they asking? I asked the real estate agent showing us the property. $300,000. It includes a parking space and a storage unit in the basement. The building maintenance is $500 a month. $300,000. I could pay in cash and still have $400,000 left over to live comfortably, for emergencies. To have peace of mind in my final years. Can I see it again? I walked through each room imagining my life there. My little bed in the bedroom, my few clothes in the built-in closet, my photographs on the walls. I imagined making coffee in that kitchen, sitting near that window to read, sleeping soundly. I saw my future in those empty walls, and that future was bright. I want it. I'm going to buy it, I said with a firmness that surprised me. The agent smiled broadly. Excellent decision, Mrs. Helen. It's an apartment with very good energy. The previous owner lived here for 15 years. She only left because she moved in with her daughter in another state. We talked about the paperwork, about the necessary documents. He gave me the contact information for a trusted lawyer who could handle all the legal parts. We left the apartment, and Regina hugged me tight right there on the street. You did it. You're going to have your own home. I'm going to have my own home, I repeated, feeling a huge smile spread across my face. We returned to Regina's apartment, euphoric, making plans for decorating, talking about what furniture I'd need to buy. It was then in the midst of that happiness that I decided to turn on my phone. I had 47 missed calls from Mark, 23 from Patricia, and over 60 messages. The first messages were worried. Mom, where are you? Please answer. We're desperate here. At least tell us you're okay. But soon the tone changed. Mom, this is ridiculous. Stop the drama. We need to resolve this. And the last ones were almost threatening. If you don't answer, I'm going to call the police. This is abandonment. Regina read the messages over my shoulder and snorted indignantly. Abandonment, as if you abandoned a child. You're 65 years old. You're an independent adult. I need to talk to him, but by text. I don't want to hear his voice yet. I sat on the couch and wrote a long message, choosing each word carefully. Mark, I'm fine. I'm in a safe place with a friend. I needed to leave that house to get my mental health back. For 18 years, I lived feeling like a burden, and what happened was the last straw. I bought my own apartment. I'll be moving in next week. This isn't a punishment for you. It's a decision of self-respect. When I'm settled, I'll send you the address. I love you, but I need to love myself more. Mom. I pressed send before I could change my mind. I saw the 2 check marks indicating the message was delivered. Then they turned blue, showing he had read it. The 3 dots appeared indicating he was typing. They disappeared. Appeared again. Disappeared again. Finally the reply came. Mom, this is crazy. You can't just buy an apartment like that. Who's going to take care of you? Who's going to help you if you get sick? And Patricia is very upset. She says you owe her an apology for the embarrassment at the mall. We need you to come back so we can talk like adults. I read the message 3 times. No apology from him. No acknowledgement of what they did. Just more manipulation. More attempts to make me feel guilty. Are you going to answer? Regina asked. I am. I wrote a short, clear reply. Mark, I'm 65 years old, not 95. I can take perfectly good care of myself, and I do not owe Patricia an apology. She tried to spend $700,000 of my money without my permission. If anyone owes an apology, it's you 2. We'll talk when I'm ready. Mom. After sending it, I turned the phone off again. I didn't want to read any more attempts at manipulation. Sunday was a day of absolute peace. Regina and I went to church in the morning, something I hadn't been able to do in years, because Sundays were when Patricia had her big family lunch and I had to cook for everyone. Afterward, we walked through the flea market looking for secondhand furniture. I found a beautiful dining table, solid wood, for only $150. The seller helped me put it in the taxi. I also bought a set of pans in good condition for $80, some plates, glasses, and bath towels. Regina insisted on buying me a new set of sheets as a gift. So you can start your new life with new sheets with no history, she said as she paid. I couldn't hold back tears of gratitude, of emotion, of relief. We stored everything in the storage unit at Regina's building, waiting for the day I could move into my new apartment. On Monday morning, I went to the office of the lawyer the real estate agent had recommended. His name was Mr. Matthew, a man in his 50s, serious but kind. He reviewed all my documents, verified the apartment's legal status, and explained every step of the process. Mrs. Helen, everything is in order. The apartment has no debts, no liens. We can close the purchase next Friday. Are you sure you want to pay in cash? You could get financing if you prefer not to use so much of your capital. No, I want to pay in cash. I want it to be completely mine, no debts, no payments. I've waited my whole life for this moment. I understand perfectly. Then on Friday at 10 a.m., we'll meet here to sign the deed. You'll need to bring the payment of $270,000 plus $30,000 for fees and transfer taxes. That $10,000 deposit you already made will be deducted. $300,000 in total, less than half of my savings. I could do it. I was going to do it. I left the office feeling stronger than ever. I walked through the city looking at everything with new eyes. The shops, the buildings, the people. Everything seemed different when you were building your own life and not just surviving in someone else's. When I got back to Regina's apartment, I briefly turned on the phone to check messages. Mark had sent only one more, and the tone had completely changed. Mom, I talked to Patricia. She's willing to apologize if you apologize too. We can forget this whole misunderstanding if you come back today. We miss you. The house isn't the same without you. Please think carefully before you make an irreversible mistake. An irreversible mistake. As if buying my own home was a mistake. As if getting my dignity back was something to regret. I didn't reply. I had nothing more to say to him right then. The following days were a mix of nervousness and excitement. Regina and I kept buying things for the apartment. A small but comfortable couch we found at a clearance sale for $400. A used double bed in excellent condition for $300. A bookshelf, some curtains, a bedside lamp. I also went to the bank to arrange everything for the payment. The manager, a young woman named Chloe, was very helpful. Mrs. Helen, that's a considerable amount. Are you sure this is a legitimate transaction? We don't want you to be a victim of fraud. It's not fraud, dear. I'm buying my first house at 65. Chloe smiled from ear to ear. How wonderful, congratulations. My grandmother also bought her house at 68 after separating from my grandfather. She said they were the best years of her life. Those words filled me with hope. It wasn't too late. It was never too late to start over. On Thursday night, the eve of signing the deed, Mark showed up at Regina's building. I don't know how he got the address. He probably found out through an acquaintance or followed some lead. He buzzed the intercom insistently until Regina answered. "Who is it?" "It's Mark Helen's son. I need to talk to my mom." I heard his voice over the intercom. Regina looked at me, asking with her eyes what I wanted to do. I took a deep breath. "Let him come up, but you stay here with me." Regina nodded. Minutes later, Mark was knocking on the door. When I opened it, I was shocked to see him looking so haggard. Deep dark circles, wrinkled clothes, messy hair. He didn't look like the successful engineer he pretended to be. "Mom," his voice faltered. "Mark," I replied without stepping out of the doorway, without inviting him in. "Can we talk?" "It's fine right here." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Mom, this has gotten out of control. I know Patricia and I made a mistake. We shouldn't have taken your card without permission, but you didn't have to leave like that without really telling us, leaving us worried." "Mark, I left a note explaining exactly why I left. It wasn't an impulse. It was necessary. But we're family, Mom. Families forgive. Families solve problems together, not by running away. Families also respect each other. And you haven't respected me for years. I was just so used to it that I stopped noticing. We don't respect you, Mom. We gave you a roof, food, everything you needed. You gave me a room the size of a closet. You made me feel like every bite of food was a favor. You treated me like a maid, not a mother. And when I saved up money from 45 years of work, you tried to steal it. We weren't going to steal. It was just some things for the house where you also live. $700,000 isn't some things, Mark. It's theft, and I never authorized it." He fell silent, processing my words. I saw his eyes darting, calculating his next move. "And the money. How much do you have left after buying that apartment?" And there it was, the real reason for his visit. It wasn't concern for me. It was concern for my money. "That's none of your business." "Of course it is. I'm your son, your only family. I have a right to know how you're managing your finances. At your age, you can make errors in judgment. At my age, I have more experience and wisdom than you. I've managed my money for decades without errors. I'm not going to start now." "Mom, that money is also partly mine. I supported you for 18 years. I gave you a house, food, utilities. That has a value. If we really calculate it, maybe you don't owe me anything, but I don't owe you anything either." Those words hit me like a punch to the stomach. Regina stepped forward. "I think you'd better go now, young man. Your mother has made her decision, and you have no right to her money. You stay out of this. This is between my mother and me. This is my house, and I can get involved when I want. And I'm asking you to leave, or I'm going to call security." Mark looked at me with a mix of anger and desperation. "Is this what you want, Mom? Letting strangers get between us? Destroying our family?" "Regina is not a stranger. She's been my friend for over 40 years. She was by my side before you even existed. And no, Mark, I'm not destroying the family. The family was destroyed when you stopped seeing me as your mother and started seeing me as an ATM. I can't believe you're doing this. Patricia was right about you. She said you were selfish, that you only thought about yourself, and I defended you. What a fool I was." Those words hurt more than I wanted to admit. But they also confirmed everything I already knew. Patricia had been poisoning my son against me for years, and he believed it. If that's what you think of me, then it's better I get out of your life. I don't want to be a burden to anyone." "Fine. Perfect. Go to your apartment, live alone, but don't come running back when you get sick or need help. Don't come back when you realize what a mistake you've made." "Mark," I called out. He stopped without turning around. "I love you. I will always love you. You're my son. But I can no longer live sacrificing my dignity for your comfort. I hope one day you understand." He didn't answer. He just kept walking to the elevator. I watched the doors close, taking my son away. Regina hugged me as I finally allowed myself to cry. I cried for the 18 lost years, for the broken relationship, for the family that could have been but never was. But I also cried with relief, because I knew in the bottom of my heart that I had made the right decision. I barely slept that night. I tossed and turned on the sofa bed, replaying the conversation with Mark, wondering if I had been too harsh, if I should have given him another chance. But every time I thought about going back, I remembered the 18 years of small humiliations, the times I felt invisible, the attempted theft, all the cruel words disguised as truth. No, I couldn't go back. For the first time in my life, I needed to choose myself. Friday dawned bright and beautiful, as if the universe was celebrating with me. Regina and I got dressed in our best clothes. "This is one of the most important days of your life, Helen. You're not going to live it alone," she said as she got ready. We arrived at the lawyer's office 15 minutes early. The owner of the apartment was already there, a nice lady in her 70s, along with Mr. Matthew. "Good morning, Mrs. Helen. Ready to be a homeowner?" the lawyer asked with a smile. "More than ready." The process took almost 2 hours. I signed so many papers I lost count. The deed declarations, receipts. Mr. Matthew patiently explained each document. When it was time to hand over the $300,000 check, my hand trembled slightly. It was almost half of everything I had. But I looked at Regina, who was smiling proudly, and I remembered why I was doing this. I put the check on the table. The owner reviewed it, nodded in satisfaction, and Mr. Matthew processed it officially. "Very well, Mrs. Helen. With this, we conclude the transaction. This apartment is now legally yours. Here is the deed with your name on it, the keys, and the condo documents. Congratulations on your new home." I took the keys and held them as if they were the most valuable treasure in the world. And to me, they were. Those keys represented freedom, dignity, a new beginning. "Thank you, Mr. Matthew. Thank you for everything," I said, my voice thick with emotion. We left the office and Regina practically shouted with excitement on the street. "You did it! You have your own home. At 65, you took your life back." We spun around on the sidewalk like two crazy girls. People walking by stared. Some smiled, seeing our joy. An older lady stopped and asked what we were celebrating. "I just bought my first apartment," I said with pride. "How wonderful! Congratulations, dear. It's never too late to make dreams come true." We went straight to the apartment. I wanted to see it again, now that it was officially mine. I put the key in the lock with trembling hands. I turned it and pushed the door open. The apartment was exactly as I remembered it. Empty, clean, smelling fresh, full of light. But now it felt different. Now it was my space, my home. I walked slowly through each room, touching the walls, imagining where I would put each piece of furniture, visualizing my life there. "It's perfect, Helen, absolutely perfect," Regina said with tears in her eyes. "Yes, it's perfect." We spent the rest of the day cleaning the apartment from top to bottom. We wanted it to be spotless before bringing in the furniture. On Saturday, Regina organized a full-blown moving operation. She called her nephew Peter, who ran a moving service. He arrived with a small truck and 2 friends to help. "Mrs. Helen, any friend of Aunt Regina's is a friend of ours. You just need to pay for gas, the rest is on us," Peter said with a genuine smile. I gave them $200 despite their protests. It was the least I could do for their help and kindness. By noon, the apartment was fully furnished. It wasn't luxurious or modern, but it was cozy and functional. The curtains gave it a warm touch. The few photographs I framed gave it personality. My little plants on the kitchen balcony gave it life. Regina insisted on staying to help me organize the kitchen. We arranged pans, plates, glasses, silverware. Every cabinet had its purpose. "Tomorrow we'll go to the market to fill your refrigerator," she said, wiping down the shelves. "Regina, you've already done so much for me. And I'll keep doing it. Friends support each other. Besides, you'd do the same for me." She was right. I would. That night, my first night in my own apartment, Regina left after making sure 1,000 times that I would be okay alone. I stood in the middle of the living room, looking around, still unable to believe it was all mine. I made a cup of tea in my kitchen. I sat in my armchair near the window and looked outside. The park was lit with soft lights. Some people were walking dogs. Others were just enjoying the cool evening. For the first time in 18 years, I felt no anxiety. There was no tension. No fear of footsteps approaching with complaints. There was only peace. I let myself cry one more time, but these tears were different. They were tears of relief, gratitude, hope. I had done it. I had saved myself. Sunday was the most peaceful day I'd had in years. I woke up without an alarm, letting my body rest as much as it needed. It was 10 in the morning when I finally opened my eyes. The first thing I saw was the ceiling of my own room in my own house. I got up slowly, without rushing. I made coffee in my kitchen, using the coffee pot I found at the flea market. The aroma filled the apartment and made me smile. I took my cup to the window and just stood there for an hour, just watching, thinking, feeling. Regina arrived at noon as promised, bringing a huge pot of chicken soup. "So you have food for the whole week. I also brought fresh bread from the bakery." We had lunch together at my new table, talking about everything and nothing. She told me about her family, about her plans to visit her daughter next month, about the soap opera she was watching. Simple, everyday conversations, beautiful in their normality. "Have you heard anything from Mark?" Regina asked cautiously as we washed the dishes. "No, and I don't expect to anytime soon. He made it clear he thinks I was selfish. He needs time to process. Or maybe he'll never understand. Either way, I can't do anything about it." "Does it hurt?" "A lot. He's my son. It's always going to hurt. But the pain of losing him is less than the pain of losing myself." Regina nodded understandingly, and we didn't talk about it anymore. The next few days were about adjusting. I learned the building's routines. I met some neighbors. I discovered the nearby shops. There was a small market 2 blocks away, a delicious bakery 3 blocks away, a pharmacy on the corner. I created a simple but satisfying routine. I'd wake up early, make coffee, eat breakfast looking at the park. Then I'd do my chores at my own pace. In the afternoons, I'd read or watch television. At night, I'd cook small meals that I liked. A week after moving in, I received a text from Mark. "Mom, Patricia and I separated. You were right about her. She only wanted money. Now that she realizes she's not getting anything, she filed for divorce. I'm so sorry for everything. Can I visit you?" I read and reread the message several times. Part of me wanted to run and hug him, but the part that had learned to protect myself urged caution. I showed it to Regina during our Wednesday lunch. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to let him come, but with clear boundaries. He's my son, and I love him. But I can't be the mother who sacrifices everything anymore." I wrote a careful reply. "Mark, I'm sorry to hear about the separation, but maybe it's for the best. You can visit me on Sunday at 3. Just you. We'll talk calmly. I love you, Mom." On Sunday, he arrived right on time. When I opened the door, I saw a different Mark. Thinner, more gray hair, tired eyes, but softer. "Hi, Mom." "Hi, son." We hugged in the doorway, a long, healing hug. I showed him the apartment. He walked around looking at everything attentively. "It's beautiful, Mom. Small but cozy. It has your style." We sat at the table near the window. I served coffee and cookies. We talked for hours. Mark told me about the divorce, about how Patricia only wanted money status. He told me he had started therapy. My therapist made me see that I repeated the same pattern with Patricia as my father. I let her mistreat you because I wanted peace in my marriage. I sacrificed my relationship with you. I'm sorry, Mom. Mark acknowledging it is the first step. You can change. Can you forgive me? I already have. Forgiveness isn't for you. It's so I can free myself from resentment. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or going back to how things were. It means moving forward with healthier boundaries. He nodded, understanding. Our relationship after that day was a slow but genuine reconstruction. Mark started visiting me every 2 weeks, always respecting my space. He would ask about my life, my activities, my friends. He really listened to me. Today, a year after moving, I'm sitting in my armchair near the window watching the sunset over the park. I still have $400,000 saved in the bank untouched. My apartment is completely paid off. My one $200 pension covers my basic expenses perfectly. I live simply but with dignity. Mark visits me every 2 weeks. Our relationship isn't perfect. It probably never will be. But it's honest. He's learning to be a better son, and I'm learning to be a mother with healthy boundaries. Regina continues to be my rock, my best friend, my chosen family. We have lunch together every Wednesday, alternating between our apartments. I also signed up for a craft class at the community center. I met a wonderful group of women, all rediscovering who they are besides being mothers or wives. I started walking in the park every morning. Half an hour a day that has become my sacred time. I listen to the birds, feel the fresh air, watch the city wake up. I have plans to take a small trip next year. Nothing extravagant, but something I never allowed myself to do. My life isn't extraordinary. I don't have luxuries or spectacular adventures. But I have something I didn't have for 18 years. Peace. I have my own space where no one makes me feel like I'm in the way. I have my own money that no one is trying to steal. I have my own life that no one controls. Sometimes I look back and wonder what it would have been like if I'd had the courage to leave sooner. But then I remember that every experience, even the painful ones, brought me here. To this moment of peace. I'm 66 years old now. I don't know how many years I have left, but I know that every day I live in this apartment in my own space, with my dignity intact, is a day that is truly mine. It's a day lived for me. And that after a whole life lived for others is more valuable than any amount in the bank. I learned that it's never too late to start over. It's never too late to choose yourself. It's never too late to say no to what diminishes you and yes to what makes you grow. I learned that true love doesn't demand that you erase yourself, that real family doesn't make you feel like a burden, that dignity is priceless. And I learned above all that sometimes the greatest courage isn't in staying and enduring. It's in having the strength to leave and rebuild. I look out the window and see a mother in the park playing with her daughter. The little girl laughs loudly as she runs. The mother smiles with genuine love. And I think that's how love should be. Of light, joyful, reciprocal. I take my cup of tea still warm and smile to myself. I smile for the journey, for the battles won, for the freedom conquered. I smile because finally at 66 years old, I learned to put my own name first on the list of people I need to care for, and that I discovered isn't selfishness. It's survival. It's self-respect. It's justice. It's quite simply what it should have been all along. Now, if you like this story, click subscribe, and tell me in the comments what part left you speechless. Oh, and don't forget to become a member to get access to exclusive videos. I don't post here. I'll be waiting for you there.